ask you something. What kind of student do you think made the following statements? I love to read. I read all the time at home. I carry a book around with me in school and no one knows. I'm going to the library this weekend and I can't wait. Who do you think made those statements? Do you think struggling readers made those statements? Well, guess what? They actually did. All right. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the reading practices of struggling readers. So here's the thing, right? The truth is, right, all of those statements were made by 3 different middle schoolers, and each of them had their own histories and experiences with reading in school that were largely negative. But beyond school, they had extensive reading practices, and not only did they regularly engage in reading, but they enjoyed it, and they found great fulfillment in it. So you might be thinking, what's going on here, right? How come I don't see this going on in school? And we're going to get to talking about how you can help foster the same love of reading in school in a future video. But for this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that struggling readers want you to know about their reading practices. So here we go. Number 1, they want to read what you assign, but they don't want to read those level texts, okay? Now, obviously in school, we can't just let students read what they want. And when we provide choice, sometimes we have to provide constrained choice, right? So that their reading aligns with the curriculum and the objectives that you're teaching that day. Your struggling readers understand this. And I have yet to run into any kid who has an issue with it, okay? They get it. But what your struggling readers want is the opportunity to read what all the other kids read. This is very, very true for middle and high school students, because you see what's happened to them is ever since they set foot in school, they've been given texts that are the baby texts, right? The easy texts, right? The ones that everybody can look at and say, yeah, those are the kids over there that can't read well. They're sick of it. They're tired of it. And they are interested in and they want to read those more challenging, difficult texts that the rest of the students in the class are reading. And when they don't get those opportunities to do so, they feel less than, they feel embarrassed, and honestly, they're probably not going to read those lower level books anyways, okay? They want that opportunity to read what everybody else is reading, and giving them that freedom can be incredibly motivating. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't struggle with those texts, because absolutely they are going to have some struggles with those texts. So are other students, right? To be honest. Your struggling readers may not do very well, but they are also not about to attempt a text that singles them out and that they think makes them look somehow less than the other students in the class, all right? So what you need to know is that your struggling readers, generally speaking, are very interested in learning and would enjoy the opportunity to access the same text as everyone else. Now, number 2, something else about their reading practices, when they're reading at home outside of school, one of the things that they love is they get to read what they want, okay? So part of the excitement about having their own reading practice is they get to read what they want when they want. Struggling readers have been told for years and years and years of being told what they can and cannot read, and really it's created a sense of dread for them about reading in school. But when they're on their own, they can pick up any text they want and no one can say anything about it. And yeah, you know what? Sometimes they pick texts that are really, really easy. And sometimes they pick ones that are too hard. But they pick texts that are interesting to them and they try them out. And honestly, they're doing a lot of reading on their own. So go back and ask your struggling readers about their reading habits. Ask them what they're reading right now. You might get a surprise for an answer. And then finally, number 3, when struggling readers are, at home in their own little world reading, one of the things that they've said to me is, there are no labels here, okay? And this is really important, right? One of the things that I hear a lot about struggling readers is how much they hate the labels that are placed on them. They know, even if you never tell it to their face, they know that they've been labeled as a poor reader, bad reader, struggling reader, some kind of label like that. They know, okay? They know how they're positioned in school. They know what that means in terms of what they can and cannot read. And when they read on their own, no one is labeling them. No one is judging them. And it just feels very freeing to them, okay? No one's telling them, hey, you got to put that book down because it's too hard. It's above your reading level. Or that book, that's way too easy. It's not going to help you grow. They just read for enjoyment, okay? And yeah, you know what? Sometimes they do pick stuff that's too hard to read. And they do recognize when something is too challenging. And they'll put it back. But the point that they make is it's their decision to do so. And they love that they get that experience with trying out a variety of books that look interesting to them and then making their own modifications and decisions about how to move forward. So if you work with middle school or high school struggling readers, or just struggling readers of any age, what does this mean for you? So first of all, know that your struggling readers like reading to some extent, okay? I've yet to run into one that doesn't. They likely have a reading practice and would love to tell you about it. They feel frustrated by the use of labels and the ways that those labels constrain them, and they want more opportunities to read in school, all right? So questions, thoughts that you have, experiences with struggling readers and their reading practices both in and out of school, head on down to the comments. I would love to talk to you more.